Good morning to everybody. So nice to be here on this beautiful day. I love this kind of winter day. Anyhow, thank you, Laura, for doing this. I know you're in your early post-op recovery. Thank you. That song, you know, is close to my heart, and I've loved Cat Stevens since I was a teenager, so that's been a long time. And, you know, I listen to the wind of my soul. Those lyrics are just beautiful. And Anne Marie, thank you. It was so cool to hear that and how you linked it to my topic. And Jennifer, beautiful. Very nice to open it up. And Dan, gosh, what a wonderful song, and that you actually wrote it. Awesome. Thank you. Really wonderful. So I'm just really grateful for this creative, intelligent, spiritual community, and I'm just blessed to be here today as well and to give the talk. So my name's Laurie Knerr, and my topic is Curiosity as a Spiritual Perspective, Living in the Question. So I did a lot of research for this topic, and it sent me down a major rabbit hole as usual, but you know, there's so much information from social psychology, anthropologists, philosophers, religious figures, that they all seem to tackle the subject of curiosity from the point of discovering truth. And in Dan's song, you know, there is a major link between curiosity and wonder, very closely linked. But the thing is I didn't find a lot of specifics on spiritual curiosity. So what I did was combined information on what I learned along with kind of some tidbits here and there. And so this morning I'll try to keep that perspective for you, so that my talk ignites or reignites that spark in your soul. And I'll start us off with a joke today that really kind of came to me. I saw it in my reading, and it takes me back to the old Catholic days. So, why do they say amen at the end of a prayer instead of a woman? The same reason they sing hymns instead of hers. Oh, gosh. So a simple definition of curiosity is an eager desire to know or learn about something. Curious people feel compelled to find answers, understand more profound meanings, and learn as much as possible about people and the world around them. They always ask questions and always seek answers. Now I'll read from Rainer Maria Rilke. And he's an Austrian novelist and poet with this quote that speaks to curiosity. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and like books that were written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers which cannot be given to you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will find them gradually without noticing it, and live along some distant day into the answer. So I'd like to share some personal memories of mine about my own spiritual curiosity, and the few that I'm going to give are mostly from my childhood. And so many of you know I was raised very strict Catholic and attended a strict Catholic school as well until I was 12 years old, which presented so many questions for me, like daily questions. The nuns were always really surprised and annoyed even by my constant questions related to the Catholic religion. And they would always notify my very extremely Catholic mother about my incessant curiosity, kind of wondering, like, where did I come up with this? You know, where did all these questions come from? And they encouraged my mom to help me accept things as is and stop asking questions, as if that actually ever happened. Some examples, you know, all of the students at my school as a child, every day before school started, we had to go to church before school started. And I was fascinated all the time by all the statues, and especially during religious holidays like Easter and Jesus' death and the resurrection. And the 14 Stations of the Cross used to just mind boggle me. And I'd always ask, like, are we supposed to, you know, worship or pray to false idols? I mean, you told us no, but here we are kneeling and praying to these statues. And the nuns would just say, they're, you know, representations of sacred figures. That was the answer. And then there's another one about confession. You know, I used to, like, freak out over confession because, not that I was the best child or didn't sin, but it was just difficult to come up with something every week. We went every Thursday afternoon, and we sat in that dark box with that old priest, and we had to come up with something. And so I would make up something usually, like, oh, I fought with one of my brothers, you know, or I was sassy with my mom or something like that, or I was nasty to the nuns. And, you know, and then I would just get my penance and go out and say my prayers and go on. And then there was like a 360 in the Catholic space. One of the best days of the year was May Day. It was the only day that I can recall, besides maybe some Christmas party or something, that the nuns were happy. They were dancing. They were laughing. They were circling the maypole with us. They were wearing their flower crowns like we were. It was just like, now, that was confusing to me because I didn't understand the difference of this day being a Catholic from every single other day at school. And, you know, just in general, I had so many questions about Catholicism, and I never got any satisfying answers, actually. My mom did her best, but, you know, she was tied into Catholic. So, you know, she kind of supported the nuns, but understood my behavior. And so my first college was Catholic, of course. You know, I went to a Catholic nursing school and a Catholic college, and it afforded me the chance, though, to open me up to the spiritual world and other traditions that I had no idea of. I had no clue. All I knew was Catholic. Catholic. And So I took these courses, and, I'm a voracious reader. I was when I was a child with the bookmobiles, and, all the way through still. I love to learn. And it satisfies my curiosity and helps me find answers and deeper meaning. So many years ago, I came to the understanding that divine nature is a driving force for my own spirituality. And earth-based traditions were the beginning of that, and they made the most sense to me. And so first, I was agnostic after I was on my own and living in the dorm at school, and I think I was 20. And I was agnostic, and, it was good. I still had some general belief, but, I let the Catholic thing go. I needed to let it go. And then I embraced Taoism in one of the classes, and then I moved on to Wicca and the goddess traditions, and then I further really explored Yogananda and Science of Mind teachings in California, and still incorporate a lot of all those traditions into my spiritual world right now. And so I've settled into general ways of being a practicing spiritual pagan with a strong affinity for all things connected with nature. But I am so open to all forms of spirituality. And my religious curiosity has carried me over throughout my life, and there's still so much more for me to learn, and I look forward to that. So one last interesting childhood memory is about my paternal grandmother. She was a Christian Scientist in Germany, and when she came here, she needed to convert to being a Lutheran for my grandfather in order to get married. So she did that, but she always practiced her old ways from the old country. And I was able to stay with her during the summer for a few weeks every year. And, as a child growing up, they had a big farm and all the fruits and vegetables and gardens. And she would introduce me, or I'd go to this Lutheran church of hers, and they had a daycare and, like summer camp kind of thing, and I loved it. It was like, are you having fun? You are a religion having fun? It was like my first experience was like, oh, these people laugh and have activities and dance, and they let the girls go on the monkey bars and, things that the Catholic school would, where I went, they didn't go for that. And so also she introduced me to her plant medicine and her herbal remedies and concoctions and poultices, and she was well versed in all the changing seasons in Michigan. And the main thing that I learned from her, besides her love of nature, was her ways of natural healing instead of using traditional medicine. And her teachings are an integral part of my life for over 50 years. And, it has really contributed to my life and my spiritual world. And I'm forever grateful for her openness to my curious nature and all that she shared so freely with me. So with the time constraints, I'm going to try to buckle in and get to the crux of this talk and switch gears. First, I'm going to talk about traits of a curious person. These are common ones. They might pertain to you, they might not. Curious people, they live in the moment and do not dwell on the past. Curious people have active minds and are always thinking, asking questions, and exploring possible answers. They try to make connections more easily between ideas, situations, and between people. They do not dwell on rejection or disappointment. Curious people are open to different viewpoints and ideas and have a passion to learn and are usually quite intelligent. They are never bored for too long because there's always something to spark their curiosity. They are good at reading people, picking up clues by listening and observing body language. They are willing to admit when they are wrong and not afraid to do so. They have the mental freedom to look at ideas and things with a fresh perspective and become inspired. They're not ever afraid to say, "I don't know," and are open to what others can teach them. Curious people do not float through life. They have a creative awareness of always thinking outside the box. And they are grateful to everyone. Their heritage, their background, their creator, their parents, and all their teachers and spiritual leaders who have contributed to their life of being a curious person. So, in the January 2022 Science of Mind magazine, there was an article entitled "Living Everyday Wonder" by Jeffrey Ryan that addressed wonder and curiosity. In it, he quoted Jacqueline Winspear, who said, "Truth walks towards us on the paths of our questions." And the author also mentioned an interesting study that was done in the United Kingdom. It found that children ask between 70 and 100 questions each day, and adults ask only an average of 20 questions a day. And those questions are usually closed or limited, like, what are we going to have for dinner? What time is the meeting? Nothing really deep that requires a expansive answer. Like, children come up with some really cool questions. When we question, we often feel a sense of awe, marvel, curiosity, inquisitiveness, or some combination, all of which are definitions of wonder. So today, since we're a spiritual community, let me give you what came together for me to kind of create a spiritual perspective on being curious. What is spiritual curiosity? It is an attribute that always leads a person to something more over time, and it develops the desire to search and find spiritual answers. One of my spiritual mentors from California is T.J. Woodward, who wrote a book entitled "Conscious Creation: 5 Steps to Embracing the Life of Your Dreams." And in it, he tells us when we differ on our core beliefs, our judging, get stuck in our comfort zone and small view of the world, and assume there is only one way, it is challenging for us to evolve spiritually. I'm right, you're wrong. This approach creates an external conflict. We're infused with our personal desires because the thing we're trying to change, whatever that may be, depends on the answer. We need the answer to work for us. Or if you believe that there's an answer out there, but that you're unable to reach it, or you don't deserve to reach it, then this creates an internal conflict. So whenever we end up finding an answer, it's limited by our personal bias, core false beliefs, and/or our judgments. An answer-focused approach can create conflict on a personal level, and as you all know, it can create conflict on a global level. And TJ wrote a profound paragraph in his book about being open to the possibility that it's not about coming up with the answer, but about living in the question and opening up to the great mystery. Excuse me. And seeing purpose not as spiritual growth towards some perfect state, but as growing in awareness of a perfection that already is. The scientific hypothesis is a what-if question. So living in the question is like living in the scientific method, in an open stance that does not assume that the answers will stand for all of time or for all people. This way allows us to approach things from a position of curiosity. The answers will be based less on past experiences and are more likely to open up new possibilities. So how do we go about living in the question and develop spiritual curiosity? And I think I have a few points on that. Number one, we ask ourselves open-ended questions that do not start with why. But rather with who, where, what, when, and how. The answers are never a simple yes or no. Here are some question examples. Where did this come from? Who taught me this? And how has it been reinforced? What does it look like or feel like? And where does this feeling lead me? What response would free me? What am I supposed to learn right now? How am I being triggered, and what old thing is coming up for me right now? What is my deepest wisdom advice here? How can I discover what is mine to do? How can I be my best self in this situation? And number two, make a consistent commitment to meet absolutely every single person, event, and feeling that shows up in your life with a deep curiosity. Number three, keep an open mind, be open to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Be prepared, too, to accept the possibility that some things you truly believe in may be wrong. And know that you have the choice to change your thinking. Four, never take anything for granted. Always dig deeper for the truth. Live in a state of patient, observant noticing rather than habitual reactivity. Stay in the present moment is number 8. Observe your feelings, thoughts, and physical sensations. And the last one, number 7, is use your personal spiritual practices and your toolbox, like things like breath work, energy work, mantras, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, prayer, journaling, diverse spiritual readings, creative outlets like art and music and literature, and nature and immersion. Whatever works for you in order for you to stay in the moment and just be with what is. So in closing, when we apply focused curiosity to opportunities and challenges in our lives, it helps us relate to our experiences rather than relating from them. This awareness creates spaciousness for curiosity, inquiry, inspiration, choice, and spiritual growth. So I hope my message today resonated with you and provides a few takeaways to better, understand or create spiritual curiosity, and that it leads you to great joy and satisfaction. And I invite you to stay open at the top, be curious, and live a blessed life that is full of discovery. Albert Einstein said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." This was Einstein. No special talent. He also penned the famous quote, "Never lose a holy curiosity." So I truly appreciate you all and thank you so very much for your attention and hopefully a little curiosity too. And on this beautiful morning, have a wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you. Thanks so much.